You are listening to the Billy Dees podcast. We are waiting just a minute for everyone to engage the live stream. Remember, you can find the Billy Dees podcast on your favorite platform.
All right. Well, hello, everyone, on X and any number of other different platforms. We go live on any number of different platforms Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm here with Shamanisis. I'll do the formal introduction here in just a moment. We wait for everybody to kind of get a chance to lock onto the stream and being live. And then what we do is I start the podcast. I record the podcast differently, separately, for all the different platforms, all the different podcasting platforms. Excuse me. And then, of course, you can catch those anytime. We are on all of the major platforms, pretty much all of the time. Shamanisis, are you just about ready?
Yes, I am. I was making adjustments as we were gearing up. I'm like, oh, God, I gotta hurry.
Yeah. All right. Well, here we go.
All right.
All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. As always, I am absolutely thrilled that you are here. If you have never checked us out before, we are primarily an interview and a commentary-based podcast. On Thursday nights, we're commentary, and we record the show in front of kind of like of a live audience because we stream on X. That's kind of the main place we're at, but we're other places too, including Facebook and Rumble and a number of other different places. So glad to have you listening in. Shaman, welcome to the program as always.
Thank you, Billy. I'm thrilled to be here. What a day we've had in the news.
Yes.
We're going to tear it up tonight.
Absolutely.
Today,
we're going to get right into it. The Trump verdict is in and guilty on all the charges. I'm not even exactly sure how many of them there are. 20 some, I believe.
30.
And
30, I think it's 32.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I believe it is. Okay. But anyway, it's immaterial because guilty is where we're at. If it was just one, the problem is that it tarnishes him as a candidate because now he's a convicted felon, which is of course
that's an opinion.
That's exactly yeah. Well, that's what they're hoping for.
Yeah,
because
well,
here's the thing.
that's what they've been hoping for 2 years, with 90-something charges. They were eventually going to find a way to crook him into something.
Actually, yes, absolutely. What happened here was, and I've used this analogy before. If you have only 2 dice, getting the numbers you want are against you. But if you take a whole box of dice and throw them on the floor, you're almost virtually guaranteed of getting the numbers that you need, and that's exactly what happened here. They just threw the box of dice onto the floor, and they got as many as they could. And without going into a lot of technicalities here, basically the I found the judge's instructions to the jury very bizarre.
Laughable. Come on. His daughter's a Democratic lackey. Come on. The whole thing. If this is not an excellent example of weaponizing the judicial system to win elections, I don't know what is.
Yes,
and
exactly.
It's frightening. I mean, I'm not sure the people who are just they hate Trump so much that they can't see what's actually going on here, which is far more important than Trump, which is the thing that I'm not sure it's like, hey guys, this is actually not about Trump. It's about how we are representing the office of the president on the international stage and for years to come, and what will happen to former presidents or sitting presidents when they upset, people that they're running up against. Like it's kind of craziness that we are crapping all over the office of the president of the United States the way that we are, and not understanding that this one election is not worth destroying that institution. And they were bound to get him on something when they've got so many people within the system that don't want him to be elected. Like the whole thing's ridiculous. And I think it's just going to turn him into like a Robin Hood. I mean, he already has that thing going on. Everything they have thrown at him for the last couple of years has actually worked in his favor eventually. And I honestly think this will too.
I follow Link Lauren. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's really right on top of a lot of the things that are going on in politics. And he said that the fundraising website for Trump crashed. So that gives you some indication. Let's go to reaction first, and then we'll kind of talk about this a little bit. I have the Trump verdict remarks directly from Trump right here. Let's listen to those first.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. But the real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end and we'll win, because our country's gone to hell. We don't have the same country anymore. We have a divided mess. We're a nation in decline, serious decline. Millions and millions of people pouring into our country right now from prisons and from mental institutions, terrorists, and they're taking over our country. We have a country that's in big trouble. But this was a rigged decision right from day one, with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over. Thank you very much.
Okay, I agree. I want to be clear too. If you are new to the program, I notice we're getting a pretty big audience here. If you are new to the program, we are not partisans. I would have to say, honest analysis, we probably lean a little bit to the right more than left, but I was never a Trump MAGA person, never was. And
I'm finding it hard to be yay about any of them.
Oh yeah, I can't be yay about any of them. But I got to tell you, his remarks there are not totally unfounded.
No,
you got to keep in mind that they had 7 or 8 years, something like that, to bring these charges forward. They broke ground with convicting an ex-president over what amounted to paying a sex worker. And in the big scheme of things, is this how you want to make history, when there have been presidents who have sent our finest people into situations where they would almost surely be killed or maimed, a certain percentage of them, over bogus causes?
Oh, and let's just talk about Bill Clinton for a second. Come on.
Yes, and he gave he paid off someone. Her name escapes me. Almost $1 million.
Very young one.
Yeah, it was $800,000, something like that. That was the one when he was Arkansas, but he did that in 1998, I believe, when he was president. And so we could go on here, and even that doesn't. What I didn't like about the Monica Lewinsky thing was he did it with a subordinate. And I got friends who are police and everything else, and if they would have been caught with a subordinate, that'd have been it. Pension and all, right out the door.
Yeah.
Okay.
But her reputation was obliterated by the
media. They were horrible.
They loved him so much because the media is so left leaning.
Yeah, they sentenced Monica Lewinsky for a lifetime of being a punchline.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely horrible what they did to her. And I don't know where all these Me Too people are. For some reason, they reverse positions when it comes to Bill Clinton. But anyway, there's been that doesn't rise to the occasion of what other presidents have done when it comes to getting people killed, getting service people killed, manipulating tax dollars, lying about causes. This is what basically amounts to somebody getting caught doing sexual shenanigans. And this was not a subordinate. This was not any of that. This was what amounts to a sex worker. She makes a living doing that, and I don't find anything wrong with it. As far as that goes, I'm not a morality police person like some people are when it comes to prostitution and porn and all that. I don't understand it. The late George Carlin once said, "I don't understand why it's illegal to charge for something that's perfectly legal to give away." But that's a whole nother whole nother topic.
Yeah, and
Let's
it's really not about I just wanna be clear to people who are listening. This is not about being a Democrat or a Republican.
no,
This is fundamentally about the fact that the office of the President of the United States demands respect, and it demands some letting things go, and, if it's something like serious, like murder or something like that, like, I get it, but, these charges are things that you could accuse half our presidents of. It's about the
yeah,
fact that the justice system has been blatantly weaponized
yes,
to
and
prevent Trump from winning because they know the more that he got closer to winning, the more they've come after him. The more that popular he became, the more they've come after him with ridiculous charges. And the things that the judge said and did were sketchy as hell. Like it
oh,
does not take a
terrible.
rocket scientist to be able to
Well,
point out very obviously partisan bullshit going on.
absolutely. Let's check out some reaction. We're on X. That's kind of our featured platform. Although very welcome to all of you on all the platforms. Facebook, Facebook. Our lives are doing pretty well. I have a small following on Facebook in comparison with some of the other places, but so welcome to the Facebook people. But let's check out some reaction. This is Tulsi Gabbard. She tweeted on X, Biden guilty of abuse of power. Biden guilty of turning our country into a banana republic where those in power use the law to go after their political opponents. Biden guilty of undermining our Constitution and the freedoms guaranteed therein. Biden has proven he is unfit for the office of presidency. Okay, I like Tulsi. I like
Yeah.
Tulsi a lot. Tulsi rocks. To be fair, this is somebody that is does not like Trump. Adam, he's my buddy. Yeah, no, he's not. Adam Schiff. You just gotta love this guy. Guilty today. 12 ordinary American citizens found a former president guilty of dozens of felonies.
Blah.
Despite his efforts to distract, delay, and deny, justice arrived for Donald Trump all the same, and the rule of law prevailed. Adam
Oh,
Schiff.
yeah, he
Yeah,
makes his living off of opposing Trump.
yeah, he's
The whole thing's disgusting, and when you think about, like, the shenanigans that went on with the laptop and all the lying and
oh,
deception, and, like,
and
it
now
is
with
epic.
yeah, yeah. If you're a Democrat and you're loving this, you just wait
Oh, well, that's
until
just it. I don't
Biden
think they
is
really
out.
realize what's gonna happen because this is gonna turn around and be weaponized
The,
against every single presidential candidate that comes
yep.
up.
Okay, Megyn Kelly, who I also love, guilty on all counts. The country is disgraced. Alvin Bragg should be disbarred.
I
They will
agree.
rue the day they unleashed this lawfare to a corrupt they unleashed this lawfare to corrupt a presidential election. I do agree with that because here
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
I described the severity of the charges here. This was something that happened. This could have been brought up by other prosecutors who passed on it 7 or 8 years ago. And it was for something that happened years before that. This is something that will probably not survive the appellate court. But
Yeah.
like I said, this is something that a lot of moderates, they're theorizing, well, he's convicted now. You also have to keep in mind, too, that on the ladder of severity for felonies, this is near the bottom.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
So the chances that a former president with no former convictions, with a very minor felony, going to do jail time is very, very small.
I
They
think
will,
it's gonna get tossed out because they're gonna get proof that some shenanigans were going on. I mean, come on, I promise you, if somebody takes the time to look in to what was going on with all the important parties, including that daughter that seems to have been getting a lot of donations since
yes,
daddy-in-law was
yes,
overseeing the trial. If they start looking into that and they just predate it right before Donald Trump did his Bronx rally, I promise you, as soon as they saw those numbers and that turnout, they were like, "This has to come through. There has to be a slam dunk involved." They're gonna find some BS going on, especially with I think if they look into the jurors, you're gonna find somebody who is put there to sway that jury.
yeah. Um, we'll come back to that. One more reaction here. Vivek Ramaswamy, the prosecutor is a politician who promised to nail Trump. The judge's daughter is a Democrat operative who literally raised money from the trial while her father presided over it. The jury instructions said they didn't have to agree on the crime to convict. This will backfire. That's Vivek Ramaswamy. Here's the there's a lot wrong with this here again, objectively speaking. The chances that, like I said, that jail time is going to be bald is not zero, but it is unlikely. I'm not sure exactly how the legalities of this break down, and this is uncharted water, so a lot of people might be speculating. Chances are, if he wins the election in November, this pretty much goes away because he has immunity as long as he's president. So he's probably not, that's probably not going to happen. Well, I'm speculating about that too. Here again, this is uncharted water. I don't know that a prior conviction gives you that shield when you're running as president. That I'm not sure about. Yeah. So I'll take that back. I'm not sure.
Court for it's going to get dragged way past the election.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing: winning the election definitely buys him a lot of time because he's going to have the power. So that the thing is, if you're a supporter of Trump, you're thinking we got to get him elected. From what I understand, the sentencing is being talked about in July, roughly a month away. I don't know if that's going to happen either. We'll have to see. I don't know the process here in terms of the appeals and all that. He does have to talk to a probation officer, and basically this is standard procedure. I know a lot of people are going to make this this is standard procedure because the probation officer has to be comfortable should the decision be probation. The probation officer has to be, this is a guy I can trust. That is a common thing. So, Shaman, let's start with, I think, being that these are weird charges to begin with, and the chances
is strong with this one.
The chances that anything really punitive that's going to happen is very small.
Yeah.
What's going to happen in the appellate court is wide open. We don't know, but it's probably going to be in the favor of Trump. So with all of that being said, what did the Democrats, what did the prosecutor really want to accomplish here? And that is putting a stain on his shirt. This says you're now a convicted felon.
Honestly, it's a little bit like driving a bus through mud to splatter somebody's already covered. It's like, really? Was that what this? You just turned him into a folk hero.
Okay, I was going to ask you, do you think I think it will affect some. The polling indicates that it will. The studies that they've done on this says it will. But I think what it will do, it'll also embolden a lot of people.
Oh, so and I think they've underestimated just how pissed off a lot of people are about what's been going on. Look, I'm middle of the road. We've talked about this before. I really struggle to identify with either party because of some of their personal choices. But you could literally Biden could be in a fucking coffin and going into the ground, and Democrats would still say, "Oh, he's going to make a really great president again." Yeah. And it's like they're so delusional about how bad his presidency has been for the country. I mean, on the international stage, just so many of the decisions that we've made, the allowing of corporate greed to just run rampant, crushing of the middle class. I really think that what the Biden administration got a taste of when Bronx Rally happened and all the people came out with, they're like, oh, gee, why is this happening? And it's like, because they're pissed and people are pissed. So yeah, maybe a few people might go back running back to Biden, or they might go to Kennedy. But I think a lot of people who've been quiet about getting crushed the last few years are going to say, you know what? I've freaking had it, because they identify with Trump as a human being because he's getting crushed by the same system that they're dealing with. So I think it's going to be more of the same crap that's been building Trump up for the last year.
I would agree with that. I do believe in the long run, what he's going to lose is going to be made up by people that are now going to say, okay, I wasn't before, but now I'm with Trump. And if anything, that might swing more to his favor. I'll ask you, I know I always get, every time I say this, I got people coming after me every single time I say this. And you know what I'm going to say? I think this is the first step. I think the second step is for the Democrats to get another candidate, because here's what's going to happen. You're going to have a stained president, at least in their mind, in their thinking. You got a former president who's been convicted of a felony, and they're not going to be running Weekend at Bernie's. They're going to be running somebody else. That is
Weekend at
that.
Bernie's.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry, but that's so true.
that's what it is.
It is. It is.
And now you're going to have a different situation. And number one, I think it could work. Number two, I think if it does go forward, they are going to alienate, they are going to split this country in a way that will last a generation. I think it's going to be detrimental for the country for this kangaroo court. And I say kangaroo because it is. I mean, Trump was right. They put this trial on in a place where his numbers were
the
as
whole
low as
thing was
possible.
rigged. The whole I don't care what you think, people. You have to just look at the circumstances around it. Take Trump out of it and just look at the circumstances, and it's obvious that the whole thing was set up to convict him.
So I think if being the case that they got their little victory here, and they got him a convicted felon now. They do a switcheroo, and I've heard a lot of names. Michelle Obama is one of them. Even Hillary Clinton has come up, although I would have to say that's unlikely.
I don't think she's
or it could be somebody else. Anybody who's got a pulse is better than Biden. And
sorry.
Okay, it's okay. And I'm not being mean to Biden. If anything, I have empathy for his situation. If that was my father. If that was my father, I'd be saying, hey, look, Dad, you served your country in politics for how many years now? It's time to go home, sit on the back porch with the dog, have a beer, start a fire in the backyard, and just relax.
Well, the fact that they're jacking him full of drugs, which is, I mean, look, that's speculation, but have you seen the videos?
Oh, some of the
The
videos
fact
are
that a
very
lot of
suspicious.
Democrats they're okay with the drugged up president whose behavior becomes much more extreme and angry when he's like that is disturbing to me. Like, guys, come on. They either need to get another candidate or they need to just give in.
Yeah. So when I say these things about Biden, it's not to be mean. It's to describe the situation the way that it is. He is not a capable person, and quite frankly, he was a goof when he was young. Okay, and now he's a goof that's mentally impaired, intellectually impaired, whatever you want to call it, whether it's dementia, whether it's old age, whatever label you want to slap on it. Okay, this is a person. I'll play the video again. Contrast the Trump video you just saw, and I'm not saying here again. I'm not defending Trump. Okay, they're not. He's only a couple years younger than Biden, but the perception is that was somebody that's very capable in comparison with this.
Imagine what we can do next. 4 more years. Pause. 4 more years.
All right, it's just okay. Now you honestly are going to tell me that guy. The analogy I told one of my friends: if Biden was picking you up in a car to take you somewhere, especially on the expressway, would you go? Yet you're okay with voting for him. Okay, and that's not being mean. That's the absolute truth. All right. Speaking of people who are, I don't know, like you said, with some Democrats, you simply cannot talk to them. And I'm not talking to them as a conservative. I'm talking to them as just, you honestly believe that this, both of these guys, these are the best we got. Okay. And if you're honestly going to tell me that Trump is what's what I'm looking for? Let me put it this way. And I've said this before. I'll say it again. If you are a Democrat and you're honestly telling me that Biden is better than Trump, that's like taking a shit in your pants, going home and changing your shirt. You are absolutely out of your mind. All right.
Well, that's it shows me like the delusion is the thing that actually disturbs me. Look, there are Trump supporters who are they're delusional in the things that they say and do. That's always been true for politics. You've always had extremists. But when you can show people evidence, repeated evidence of something, and they are incapable of acknowledging it, now we're just lying to ourselves and to everybody else. And that's the kind of country we want. We want
I
to
should.
have a president that we all need to lie about. Although everywhere else in the world, they're laughing behind their hands at the state of America right now, which is something that Trump brings up, which is actually true, whether people want to hear it or not. We have lost a lot of our shine in
Absolutely.
recent years, and we are not going to get it back doing this crap that's been going on for the last couple of years, because some of the things that the Biden administration has done in the last couple of years have literally made me speechless. Things you would have never gotten away with.
If you're doubting what Shaman is saying, don't take our word for it. Spend some time Googling up the BBC. Spend some time Googling up the media in places like Australia, places like that around the world, and nobody has anything good to say.
No, and they're
It-
appalled by what's happening with Trump. It's
yeah,
actually really reducing our reputation on the international stage. That's the thing that most people who are like, but it's Trump, anything to get Trump. And it's like, yeah, let's just ruin our reputation internationally, all because of one person. Let's
yeah,
sacrifice the country's reputation that we spent 200 years building and millions of young men and women have passed away for in wars
yeah.
to fight
Um,
for a country that you're willing to throw away just to get one man. And that's delusional.
it's setting some very dangerous precedents in
Yes.
terms of, you're going to be, the day is coming when a president is going to be totally bogged down with legal problems. And it's going to be, if it's a Republican in there, it's a Democrat's going to be doing it. If a Democrat is in there, it's the Republicans going to be that's what you're setting yourself up for, over a sex worker. That's where we're at right now. Okay. Let me just go to the reactions here one more time. Yesterday, I believe, or the day before, Robert De Niro, and how that he somehow got sent as a surrogate of the Biden
Oh,
administration.
absolutely. I mean, anytime most of the times when a celebrity starts stumping outside a courthouse, it's about their network and connections. It's about
Yeah,
scratching each other's backs. They don't just show up for no reason.
and this is a guy. You know, I don't know what to say about this. I was never a big De Niro fan. I was a big Al Pacino fan, and they're kind of from the same ilk. But
Mhm.
I for some reason, I never really connected with De Niro. Now he was in some of the best movies ever made. Whether it be the Godfather series, the Deer Hunter. These are movies that have outlived their other movies of that time. Those generations have those movies from most of those movies from those times have not held up. Those movies will always be mantelpieces. Okay, great stuff.
Yeah.
And he's out there reading from a piece of paper, during this press conference, and it's pretty obvious, without somebody writing for him, without somebody directing him, telling him how to say those words, he's not the same person. And that was one reason in the 1940s and 1950s, studios were very careful to keep their stars away from the public, because they were dumb as hell, and they didn't want that illusion to be broken.
Also,
Okay.
they knew how to cultivate a career and they knew when to leave.
Yeah.
Taking that iconic career and all those iconic roles and just crapping on them with a bunch of really bad movies in recent years doesn't.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play the De Niro clip I have here. And on the other side, I want you to tell me if this hurts his legacy as an actor. Okay. Here's the De Niro clip.
I mean, this is really, even these people over here are it's kind of crazy. It's really crazy. And this thing, Donald Trump has created this. He should be telling them not to do this. But he's just, he wants to sow total, he wants to sow total chaos, which he's succeeding in some areas and places to do. When Trump ran in 2016, it was like a joke. This buffoon running for president. No, never could happen. We'd forgotten the lessons of history that showed us other clowns who weren't taken seriously until they became vicious dictators. With Trump, we have a second chance, and no one is laughing now. This is the time to stop him by voting him out once and for all. We don't want to wake up after the election saying, what, again? My God, what the hell have we done? We can't have that happen again.
ugh.
He didn't exactly have a friendly audience there, did he?
No, well, no, but, what's so insulting about that whole speech, it's not even about Trump. It's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," because sometimes people who need to voice their feelings about things have to actually go stand places and do things like demonstrate. So, you have a problem with all the kids across college campuses voicing their opinions because in many cases they were yelling. So, what you have a problem with is freedom of speech. You don't really
Mhm.
have a problem with the people yelling, you have a problem, period, with people having an opinion. That's what that
Yeah.
really says to me, and frankly, I don't think he really gives a crap about anything other than his own financial status and people like him. I think he's very disconnected. I liked Robert De Niro for a really long time, but when he got like this, where he started getting involved, I don't want celebrities telling me how to fucking live or who to
No.
vote for. They pulled that crap in the coronavirus, and they were telling people to what to do, and claiming that people should be arrested and lose their jobs, and like all these getting on national television, making these really serious statements, causing harm and destruction and serious issues in America, all because they were well known as an actor or an actress or musician, and that really
Yep.
pissed me off because I was like, I love entertainment as much as the next person, but you're not a doctor, and you don't even know what you're talking about, and none of them were bringing up thalidomide babies, which is something I grew up seeing, and
Yeah.
that was the reason why they made giving vaccines have to meet really high standards.
Yeah.
So, this isn't even about all that, it's the fact that, I think that backfires, it's hurting his legacy, it's just one more time that somebody is getting in front of our faces and trying to tell us what to do,
Yep.
and I just think most people are tired of it.
This is a backdrop to Labor Day weekend in regard to the movie business. Traditionally, Memorial Day weekend kicked off the blockbuster season.
Yeah.
Probably the last one really that hit really big was the last Top Gun with Tom Cruise. That summer did have a couple more hits, the Barbie being one of them. But this last Memorial Day weekend was not good. No launching blockbusters this past Memorial Day weekend. And you mentioned the COVID and the actors with that. There's a lot of reasons that this is happening with the movie business.
Yeah,
A
that
lot of
and
people,
AI and technology and people's viewing habits evolving and people enjoying watching real people who are actually super talented, not
yeah,
not in many cases nepo babies or not wanting to see reality TV anymore. They want to see
yeah,
actual real life.
yeah.
All of
I
that's
don't,
collided together to bring down Hollywood, and they're making it worse by getting in people's faces and telling them what decisions to make.
yeah, and this De Niro thing is a perfect example of this. Another thing is the content that the movies themselves have. They almost always have some kind of a little message in them, which, quite frankly, I don't like no matter what the message is. I just want a nice story. I don't want to be taught a little lesson, a little after school
Lectured.
special. Yeah,
Yeah.
about why I should be nice to my friends, and I don't dig it. The other thing is the streaming, and I think streaming has harmed Hollywood.
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, it turned blockbuster movie actors into TV stars, and then TV stars into social media stars, and it's just like deteriorated from that point on. I think people liked it better when when
Yeah.
everybody was at a distance.
You have a generation of folks now that really don't understand what people like Spielberg and Tom Cruise and other people really have. What's the word I'm looking for? They have an affinity for the sacredness of the cinema and what that was supposed to mean. Now movies have become background noise while you're playing games and doing things. Most people don't even really watch them that closely, let
They
alone
don't have
want to see them
attention
on.
span anymore either.
Yeah,
And you know what?
and
Let's be honest. I think one of the biggest things is people can't afford to for a family of 3 or 4 people, it's $80 just to go see a movie, and that's without even having any, treats,
yeah,
which is like, what's
and
the point when I can rent a movie and buy all the treats we want for a quarter of the price? Like,
yeah,
the middle class, which they depended on, is getting crushed, and going to the movies is not something they care about anymore.
and I think you touched on something there, which I don't think really gets addressed. A lot of people talk about the streaming, which isn't helping, but what has happened is, just like you said, there's creators on TikTok, and not all of them are this way. I know somebody's going to say, "Oh, there's nothing but idiots on there." Yeah, of course, there's a lot of idiots on there. Okay,
Well, that's
but
actually predicated by your own viewing habits.
yes, but, and I will question the fact that there are people that become enormously big on TikTok that are idiots, but
Yeah.
there are a lot of people on there who are enormously talented, whether it be dancers, singers, comedians. These are people that are far better than what unquote the mainstream celebrities are doing.
Yeah.
And
Or
it's right
what
in the
or what the finance people are willing to back,
yeah, and
you know?
this is right in the palm of your hand. These are very genuine people, and you don't have people in some rich house talking down to you about your COVID
Yeah.
habits, and that has put and that's why the award shows the
Well,
ratings on those things are down
oh,
too.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, and another thing too, what a lot of people don't seem to understand is that why would they go to these like record companies that basically take all the profits for the first 10 years of anybody who's worthwhile, and that's the length of a career anyway. So by the time they actually see their see their good years where they're going to make money, they're on their way out.
Yeah,
These ridiculously talented kids are realizing that they can have consistent money, consistent love from their audience, consistent relationship, and build a platform of their own without ever having to go to an audition and be dismissed or treated poorly, all in favor of some nepo baby
yeah.
that's parents forced her. I'm not even gonna go there.
Okay, we're
You know
talking
what I'm
about
talking about, right?
yeah, we're talking about the Kardashian kid. Yes. Okay,
Yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, yeah, and
And
I feel
that
bad.
wasn't the child's fault.
No,
Uh,
it wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, that what do they know? And frankly, if it had been billed a different way, it probably would have been. But people are like, well, we're expecting talent, especially because people are exposed to how many people out there have talent, and it's like,
exactly.
please stop. We don't want to see it
Yep.
anymore.
Yeah, I think that's what's really. If you don't know what we're talking about, Kim Kardashian's daughter, uh, um, I believe Northwest. Is that correct?
Yeah. Mhm.
Northwest. Okay. She played Simba, and here again, these Disney things are something I don't not give a shit about. Okay. But there, it was some kind of a Broadway-ish type of performance, and I've had people on there piecemealing this out that this wasn't the Broadway thing, this was some other thing, and it was an expensive show though. This was not like a high school play.
Yeah.
This child was put in there and clearly was not prepared. Clearly did not have direction to mount anything. Clearly did not have any
It
vocal
was literally
skills.
the definition of what most people think of when they think of a nepo baby. And I'm really not trying to make fun of their child because I feel bad that she was put in that position. Frankly, she'll
Yeah,
grow from it, and hopefully it creates some proper thoughts about talent and versus no talent, or what is talent, or what she needs to maybe work on. But people are tired of having less talented people stuffed down their throats when there's so many incredible people on social media for them to enjoy and not have to pay. They pay with their view, and they don't get lectured about
yeah,
what
and
they're
that's
gonna do with their bodies.
that's exactly right. And this is where, getting back to what you were saying about the people online, there's young people online on TikTok that could have blown that performance out of the water, and they're not getting a chance
Mhm.
because of the nepotism. And here again, there's a lot of layers to nepotism. My understanding is this particular production, like I said, really wasn't connected with some of the other productions, but it was produced by the same company that produces the Kardashians. So I wonder how she got that job. So anyway, and this
Yeah,
might have
and
been all a stunt, just like you said. This whole thing might have been a stunt to get attention because everybody knew it was
Oh, I'm
going to
sure.
bomb.
Well, that's what they do best, but honestly, they burn look, and I have mad respect for the empires that the Kardashians have built, but what they did do was they taught the public and brands and businesses, which we see all the time now, that as long as you're not going to effing prison, anything goes in terms of attention, because you can always spend that attention into so what we'll find out next is she's like an incredible dancer, like that's the MO of the Kardashians. So they were like,
Yeah,
she may not be this, but look at what an incredible ballet dancer she is. It's like, oh, we've got the spotlight. Now let's put it on what we can. And they've taught everybody that, and people see it now. And again, we go back to when the average person now has a social media platform where they can use their intellect and their talent to network with other people who are similar to them, where dancers and singers and musicians can go build a million or 2 million people over 2 or 3 years, and that whole time they would have wasted running to auditions to get the yes. Be your own queen or king of your own career, own your own fan club. Do not wait for some company to come along and tell you that you're talented. That's the world we live in now, that people are realizing that they can give that to themselves, and that's what Hollywood is not catching on with.
Yeah. All I can tell you, if you're listening at home, if you are, if you follow politics and you're worried about what's going to happen with this Trump situation, my worry is that depending on how this plays out, if you think the country's divided now, you just wait till this gets exploited any further. And I really think that we are heading into, and when I say dangerous, maybe not like a civil war like we think about it, but it could be a dangerous time in terms of the stability of our country, in terms of how we regard our politics, how we regard our government for years to come.
Yeah, and on top of that, the capitalism is eating itself. Like we're in late stage capitalism. We need serious change, and it's not going to happen if we vote somebody in who's half alive.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll only say, me personally, I'm not speaking for myself, not Shaman. I do believe capitalism is the way to go in most cases. However, there have to be controls on it. I've said before, being from Canton, Ohio, where the NFL was born, the NFL does a pretty good job of making sure that you can succeed if you are really good. A good team can succeed if it's really good. But they always have little controls in place to make sure that the teams that are struggling, the teams that are playing poorly, have a chance to improve. And that's why the draft goes to the teams that have the worst record. That's why that's why that is. Okay. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of other things in terms of that's why there's salary caps, to make sure that the most successful teams with the most loyal fan base can't go out and buy all the best players in free agency. So that they want to make sure that you don't have a situation. Let's imagine when Brady played for the Patriots and they were winning like crazy, winning Imagine if they got all the first round draft picks. Imagine if they could spend as much money as they wanted. It would get to the point where all the games would be blowouts, and the game itself would die. But by the same token, there's still room for a legacy. The Patriots had their legacy, the Steelers had theirs, the 49ers had theirs. And it looks like, the Kansas City right now is they're the next one building one. But there's room for the next one to come. There's you're not so controlled that excellence doesn't hurt you. There's a balance there. And I really think that's a good analogy for how capitalism should work. We want people to be rewarded with success. We want them to get a Super Bowl ring. We want all those things to happen, but we also want not the same team to win every year. So
yeah, we've got a small percentage of the American population that's making out like bandits since 2001, and a huge portion of the population that's getting crushed. And something has to give, which is what makes this election so important.
Yes, it sounds like almost a cliche to say that this could be the most important election because we say it every 4 years, but this one, not because of the candidates involved, but what it could do to our country is really getting kind of scary. Okay.
And I don't know if a lot of people really understand. It really isn't about the candidates. It's about this time that we're at, the precipice that we are at, where America really is in a serious position. And we have AI, this wonderful opportunity with AI. And in 4 years, just look at what's happened in the last year with artificial intelligence. Imagine what this world will look like in 4 years, 2 years.
Yes.
We need to have our we got to have our growth pants on.
Yes, I totally agree. 34 counts it was, by the way, with Trump.
Yeah.
Let's end on a humorous, fun note. We talked about a lot of serious things today. Speaking of things going viral and fun things, there's this very charming clip that has gone viral. Mm-hmm. These two twins, these two young girls, it's somewhere in the UK. I don't know if it's Britain or where it is, somewhere in the UK. But they have these real heavy accents. And what they're doing is they're complaining about the price of ice cream. And I not only enjoy their accent and the way they speak, but it's the way they arrange the words. It's different than it is in the United States.
Yeah.
For example, at the beginning of this clip, somebody asked, "What just happened, girls?" And she turns and says, "That ice cream van over there, silly." then she goes to describe the word silly is inserted as its own kind of little thing.
Its own sentence.
Yeah. So here it is. And if this doesn't bring a smile to your face, I don't know what does. This is cute.
So there's an ice cream van there selling just 2 ice creams with 2 chewing gums in it.
Yeah.
For bloody £9 for 2 of them.
£9 for 2.
Yeah, £9. That is gonna get nowhere. The one that comes on my street is either £1 a p or £2. That is gonna get nowhere with that.
No, he ain't, is it?
No, he ain't.
That's well bad, isn't
You
it?
should know. And he only does bloody card. Stood there with my cash. Bloody hell.
That's well bad, isn't it?
Bloody well bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, bet he can hear me.
I love the
Then
I bet it can hear me.
Then
You,
it can
you
hear
know,
me.
know what I have to point out, besides from how amazing that clip is and how funny they are. She's brilliant. She's gonna
Oh,
make a great
sure.
lawyer or whatever someday. But if you listen to her, you can see a lot of people don't know this, but I'm from the South. The origin of a Southern accent is the mix of English Irish people who settled there back
Oh,
in the
okay.
day. So if you listen to her, you say, isn't it? Ain't. That's all
Yeah.
very Southern. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a charming clip.
Love that.
And yeah. So anyway, for those of you that are out there, we gotta have faith in our democracy. I don't care if you're a Trump supporter or a Biden supporter. We haven't talked much about RFK Jr. today. He's trying to get in the debates. I think he should be there. And you could talk about the polling, this, that, and the other thing. But I really got to say, whether or not you believe he should be in the debates or not giving him, and this is all on Biden, not giving him Secret Service protection is an absolute disgrace. And that's all the more reason I don't like Biden.
Mhm.
President Carter, I believe, is probably going to be, I think history is going to be kind to his legacy, even though he wasn't popular at the time. And one of the things that he did was when Ted Kennedy, who I despised,
He was sketchy.
yes, when he was going to run for president, and I got to keep in mind, this was his competition. This was somebody that was going to challenge him for the Democratic nomination. He gave him Secret Service protection. And here we go with Biden. And I can't imagine being president and having somebody by the name of Kennedy, which is synonymous with some of the absolutely most horrific assassinations in our country's history. I wouldn't want that to be on my resume, that I didn't give him Secret Service protection and something happened.
Well, you know what it speaks to?
If he even knows
It
what's
speaks to
going
being
on.
threatened and jealousy. That's what it makes
Yeah.
him look like, that he's jealous and threatened by him, which I would never want if I was president.
Well, here again, like I said, I can't imagine. But anyway, RFK is part of this mix RFK Jr. Is a part of this mix as well. He is rising in the polls steadily. He's getting on more and more ballots. He says he's going to be on nearly all by the time the election rolls around in terms of states. And I really think that he is going to be part of the mix in this, especially if there's a shakeup with the Democrats, and I predict there will be. I can't say for sure. I'm not
I don't
what do you
know.
call
I
it, a
think
clairvoyant.
I think this Trump thing throws that up in the air because they're like, "Oh, we can coast now." That's how arrogant they've been the whole time. So.
I don't. This weekend at Bernie's is not. You like that?
I love that because it's
they're gonna
so
put his.
true.
There's gonna put. Do you remember like the Pet Rock? They're gonna put Biden up, and they're gonna say, "Well, he slides down the steps very nicely if you just put him up this way." And I just can't believe that anybody in the Democratic Party honestly believes. And here again, if you're a Biden supporter, I respect. But you honestly look at the calendar, flip through all the pages, and go to 2029, and tell me that he is going to be president until
They don't
2029.
care. I honestly, I really think if they were telling the truth, which I think is actually, and I know we've gone on long tonight, but if they were telling the truth, they would actually admit that they're just trying to get the seat, and they'll deal with it when they get there. They're just
Yeah.
propping him up until they get into the power position again, and then they're going to figure it out. I honestly
Yeah.
think that's the way they're doing this, and they don't want to admit to him being in this. They don't give a shit about what
Yeah.
state he's in.
Agree.
That's that to me, that's actually what has to be really happening, because no one's that delusional, not a whole
Yeah.
party.
Yeah. And of course, the people, the conspiracy theorists are going to say, well, yeah, they don't care if he's with it or not because he's not really running things. And he's probably not, to a degree.
No, I doubt he
And
is.
there's
He's out of it.
conspiracy theorists who take that even further, say it doesn't matter if Trump wins or Biden wins. It's the same people in charge. And George Carlin, that's another thing he said. Yeah, it's every 4 years or so we put some conservatives over here, we put some liberals over there, and then the next year we put some liberals over there, and we put some conservatives over there, and we make it like we're making a difference, but it's the same shit going on all the time. So anyway, all right.
It's funny that he's really made a huge comeback and post his passing, because when he was out, I mean, people loved him, but they also thought he was a bit delusional and a bit of a conspiracy nut. And now everything he says is true.
Oh, everything came true.
Everything.
Everything
It was
came
true then. It just sounded ludicrous.
Yes. Well, I want to thank everyone for checking in. I don't have access to all of the stats here, but it appears we've had a big audience tonight. So I want to thank everyone for listening in. Shaman and I do this Thursday nights live, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sometime later, very short amount of time, the audio version, the podcast version, is available on all. As far as I know, the Billy Dees podcast is available on all the major platforms. I don't know of any of them that we're not on. And Shaman, you want to real quick tell us about you and where they can find you?
Yeah, if you want to learn more about my books, you can visit shamanisis.com. You can learn about my new book, A New American Dream, which hit #1 this week. Very excited about that.
Awesome.
Yes, I'm a feminist writer and a social justice writer.
Oh, wow.
And you can find out more about that. And also you can learn about my work at Soul Tech Foundation to help create equality in artificial intelligence for women.
Awesome. I just did an interview for a publisher, HO Press, Shorehouse Books, and Ed Friedman is his name, Ed Friedman, and he is a great author, and that is very recent in my playlist. So if you go to the playlist, the podcast platform of your choice, and go to it's right there in the playlist. And he has he's retired now, but he started a nonprofit that helps older people participate in the arts to keep their mind active. And I just think that is absolutely. Oh, it's fantastic. Ed Friedman is his name. Do check him out. So yes, that interview is in the playlist that wherever you find me, and you can go to humoroutcast.com, go on their podcast tab, and I am there as well with Ed. So do check that out. Shaman, crazy day. Thank you so much as always for talking to us here at the program. Much appreciated.
I always enjoy our time together, Billy. You guys have a beautiful night.
Beautiful night indeed, and take care of yourselves and be optimistic. It's the Winston Churchill said about the United States, we have a democratic style of form of government, even though we're a representative republic and all that. And anytime somebody starts hitting me with that, I always say, you've been listening to Glenn Beck again, haven't you? It's true, but nonetheless, his quote about democracy always stuck with me, and that is this: it is the absolute worst form of government, except all the rest. And that's about right. So anyway, thank you very much for listening to us, and we will talk to you again next week.
Thank you for listening to the Billy Dees podcast. Follow Billy Dees on X @BillyDees for updates about the program.